Thanks for tuning in to SynthWorld. This is your host, DJ Nomad, and I am so thrilled to be here. So ecstatic to be with singer-songwriter, one of the best, most legendary synth pop singers ever, Yota, Yota. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it is an absolute pleasure to have you. We were just talking about getting introduced from Mecca Maiko. Shout out to her, sending lots of love her way. But yeah, you have been on my radar for years now, at least the last few years. And, I think one of the synth pop singers that's really coming into their form and into their peak. And so, just so excited to have you. And I think you might be my first guest from France. So, yeah, thanks for taking the
Oh,
time.
I feel special now. Thank you.
Yes, yes. But I found out that may not be where you're from. So let's dive in
Yeah.
real quick. I want to just kind of put you on a map for our listeners here. You live in France now, is that correct?
hmm That is correct. I do. I live in Paris since a long time, since 2011. I live in
Oh,
France since 2007, in fact, but in Paris since 2011. But I was born and raised in Sweden, Stockholm. So I'm from Stockholm, Sweden. So I'm not French, but obviously, after living here for such a long time, I can, yeah, I'm becoming more and more French, I guess. And I speak a few languages as because my father was Greek and my mother was Finnish. So my parents, my father only spoke Greek with me, my mother only spoke Finnish with me, and then I spoke Swedish in school, and then English. I learned obviously English, and then French.
and you now
So
know
I,
French? Oh my gosh. Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So and a little bit of Norwegian, but Norwegian is so similar to Swedish, so I don't know if it counts. Yeah.
They're neighbors, right? I mean, they're
I
Scandinavian.
could be a spy, maybe. If it doesn't work out in the music business, I could be a spy or
I could
something.
see that. I could see that
You could
for
see
sure.
that. I have the spy
Yeah.
look
I
sometimes.
think you look the part. Yeah, you definitely have, kind of like a natural look of like seriousness and mystery, maybe. At least I certainly
Oh,
get that.
thank you.
I kind of want to also figure out how you got to where you are now as a musician, as an
Mhm,
artist. Do you
mhm,
remember like any of those kind of more seminal, important moments when you were, younger, that kind of,
mhm,
or maybe as a kid that kind of propelled you towards music?
mhm. I do. I had a friend when I was like about 10 years old. I got to know this lady that lived in the same neighborhood, and she had a dog and I had a dog, so we got to know each other when I was walking my dog and she was walking her dog. And even though she was like 40 years older than me or something, 30, 40 years older than me. So she was, she was, I don't know, what, you or 50 years old.
Hmm.
And we became friends. She was really, really a special person, like really not like anybody else. And she had been working as a manager. She was working at a circus, but at that time, but she had been working as a manager in New York, and in so in New York for some soul artists, and she had also worked as a manager for some Brazilian artists. And anyway, fast forward, and then I mean, we were friends, and then when I was about maybe 18 or something, 20, in my 20s and 8 or 18, I was in her car, and she was playing. So we were still friends, and then she was playing, and then we could hear Al Green. He was playing on the radio. Al Green was playing on the radio, and then I started to, imitate this falsetto. Al Green, that Al Green had this beautiful falsetto is, but I was imitating him, but I was kind of like joking around, but at the same time I did love the track. And then she was like, "What? you must sing. What is this? You have a beautiful voice. And I'm like, really? And she said, yes, you have to sing. And she was like, and then she didn't stop. She was like, you need to pursue a music career. What are you doing? And then I did. And I had, my plan was to become a painter, an artist, because I was going to art school later, and I was so maybe I was a bit older than 18, by the way. But I was going to art school, and I was thinking that I would paint and become an artist. And but no, then I shifted, and then I sent a demo to some people in Sweden, and then they contacted me, and that's how I signed um, my deal with a publishing deal. And then I had my first release on a Chicago label, house label, which
Mm.
had a bizarre name, and everything was bizarre with. I can't say that. Maybe it was called Mouthful Music. Anyway, but it was a Chicago house label, and I released my first single there, which was like a very funky house tune, basically. So that's how it started.
Do you have other monikers or do you have other like creative pursuits that you do as well?
Yeah, I have a band, but it's not active just because the the producer. I think this is a perfect way to put some pressure on him. So the producer, the musician, is a good friend of mine. It's Lionel, and we have a band called Frankfurt Express, and
Mm.
we released an album several years ago. And then I used to also have a band, a 90s project, but not in the 90s. That was like maybe 15 years ago, called Mauvais Cliché. And we released on a label called Strictly Rhythm, which is quite of a big label. And we released I think it was in an EP, a few tracks there anyway. So those are the other monikers that I have. Maybe I will have a new one soon. Who knows? But I would like to make a little bit of a maybe dark wave project or something like that. More synth project. Maybe start with an EP. I'm searching. I didn't start yet because now I'm in the midst of everything around the album. But after the album is out, then I'm gonna start to search for the right person to that I can create this EP with, and it's gonna be. I would say that I want it to sound very close to my favorite band now, which is Drab Majesty. And Drab Majesty, I just love them. So something similar to Drab Majesty.
How did you find your way into this music? And do you have any favorite like 80s or 90s media that you really are super nostalgic about?
Back in the days, I used to listen to rock, so I have a rock background. And then
Mhm.
everything shifted after I started to listen to French house music. And I was just, writing music. And then I didn't know that I was writing actually synthwave, but many of my tracks were actually synthwave, and I didn't think about them as synthwave, but they were. And I guess it was a mix between different kind of music that I like, and I've always loved the 80s. So I am 80s, like whatever, like people tell me sometimes I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, you always sound like from the 80s. Everything you do sounds like from the 80s." And it wasn't intentional. It's just I love the 80s. So I guess it was just natural that I ended up with uh, you know, being in the synthwave scene. Um, I didn't understand that until we signed. My manager said that NRW wants to sign my album. So I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool because it's like the biggest synthwave label, isn't it? And I was like,
Pretty much,
okay, so
yeah.
I guess it's synthwave. But I would say that my favorites from the 80s, I love David Bowie. I love David Bowie. I love Ryuichi Sakamoto, the song that he made with Iggy Pop called Risky.
Mhm.
Very sexy vocal, very, very moody and sexy vocal, along with a beautiful instrumental. It's quite simple instrumental, but beautiful. And then I love what Sakamoto did with David Sylvian in the track called Forbidden Colors. It's just amazing.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
work
I
of
think I
art.
remember that track. I think.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
I kind of want to just ask you about how, the origins of your moniker or alias, Yota, Yota. I had to make sure I tried to hit the T hard because it sounds like Yoda from Star Wars.
From Star.
Yeah, I'm sure you've
That
already figured
helps.
that out.
Yes, I
But how'd
think
you
there
come
was.
up with it? Yeah.
I did well. Basically, my real name is Panayota, which is a Greek name, and in Greece, like when your name is Panayota, then usually people call you Yota. Also, phonetically, it's the same, Yota. But
Mhm.
I didn't come up with that name. I mean, my name, my real name is spelled Jotta. So the second part, so
Oh.
Panayota, Jotta. But
Mhm.
I was a part of creative. I mean, I was signed to a creative management team a long time ago in Stockholm. They had different artists. They had different like they had painters and musicians and etc. And they were like working on creating the image for all of us. And I wasn't signed with them for a long time, but the good thing that they did was well, they took some pictures and stuff like that and worked on an image and idea. I didn't follow that kind of like the idea or the style that they worked on, but the name, I kept the name. They thought Yota would be great, Yota, so I kept it. That's how it started. um, the persona, don't have a clear strategy or thought of the persona. It's just what it just became something, just developed and evolved, I guess, through songwriting and just the mood in my songs, I guess, and the style as well. I mean, I've always liked that style, so with the beret and quite a lot of dark clothes and dressing like a spy or something. Like, I don't know. I love the military look. I should,
Uh,
work a little bit more on the military look. Basically, I love the military look. Like, it's so beautiful with the boots and yeah.
I love the name and definitely don't change it. I think it's cool that it's so close to Yoda. I love that.
Thank you.
So we all know you, you sing, you have an amazing voice, a lot of range. Do you, and you work with Lifelike, and I'm sure lots of other
Hmm.
producers, but
Hmm.
do you do anything beyond singing itself? Like, do you
Hmm.
play synthesizers,
Hmm.
anything? I'm just curious if
Hmm.
you dabble
Hmm.
beyond that.
Yeah, the way that I work, I used to play piano when I was a kid, but I can't say that I can play the piano. Now I
Mm.
don't play any instruments. I used to have a guitar, but it was just mostly just to look cool. I used to have an electric guitar when I was a teenager. I never learned how to play the guitar. Anyway, what
Yeah.
I do, the way I work, I receive the instrumental, I open it in Logic, and then I record my vocals. I record my vocals and I write the lyrics, and then I use an effect when I record my vocals just to hear the effect, but then I mute the effect. I edit the vocals in the sense that I try to remove any background sounds, obviously, and sometimes I'm I'm a perfectionist. So I if it's even like if it's a word that I don't like the way I sing it, or there's something that sounds off, I can re-record it like 500 times if I need to. I don't use autotune. I never do that. So
Mm.
I'm very, very picky with my vocals. So I like to be in control during the recording process. So I record myself and then edit the vocals, and then I bounce them without effects, and I send them over to the producer. And since Hazy Paradise, let me think about it. Since actually Lucid Dreams, I've
Mhm.
been I'm more and more involved in the production and the mixing. So I'm very, very much involved in the mixing and in the production now.
Well, it's pretty cool to hear about the auto tune though. That's really awesome,
Yeah,
and also just that
yeah,
you have your hand in the production, the mastering, and the rest of the
hmm,
production process,
yeah,
um, so that you can kind of have your say, and it
yeah,
reflects you as an artist as well as the producers. So
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. That's great to hear. Sounds like a good relationship. And I
Very
want
much.
to, yeah,
Mm-hmm,
yeah, which is important, especially for
mm-hmm,
long term. I mean, you guys have, even before Hazy Paradise, I think you had two
mm-hmm,
albums before that, and so
mm-hmm,
you've been
mm-hmm,
producing a lot of music, and um,
mm.
it's hard to keep relationships, especially in like the creative field, lasting that long sometimes with creative
Yeah.
differences that happen. People
Oh, yeah.
change, so
Mm-hmm,
that's
mm-hmm,
awesome. But
mm-hmm,
speaking of what things that haven't really changed, I feel like that, your voice has evolved. I'm sure it has, but
mm.
you've been killing it ever since, your first album. I'm blanking on it at the moment. The Knight in Shining Armor, is that right?
19,
Yes.
yeah, that's correct. Yes. Yeah.
Um, so you showed off your vocal chops kind of from the start, and your music has evolved since then. But how do you describe, just real quickly, how do you describe your vocal
Mm,
style, and how did you figure out how to
mm,
ride that line between kind of like, like almost like operatic, like really haunting emotional stuff, and then
mm-hmm.
the like energetic stuff, like the Italo disco thing that makes you want to dance too. It's a weird combo. Awesome.
It is, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
kind of a funny combination. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's either like, yeah, it's Italo or like housey, or then just very deep and dark, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever. Deep and a bit scary almost, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I guess that's my emotional range within me that I put out like through singing. This is my inner world. This is, I would say, describes me quite well. This is how I am as a person. I have a very serious and deep. I'm very emotional,
Mhm.
but emotional in every way. A bit too emotional, I think. So I can be. I'm very enthusiastic and very happy person. So that's where we have the Italo disco,
Mhm.
crazy house vibe maybe, and then I have deep, deeper side, I guess, and a sad side, very sad. So I mean, there's a lot of sadness, but not only sadness, but it's just emotional. Yeah, it's just my emotional range,
Mhm.
uh,
Emotional depth, yeah.
that you can hear. Emotional, yeah, 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 through music.
You touched on being kind of um, emotional, open, I think,
Mm,
with the way you write your lyrics. And I
mm-hmm.
pulled some lyrics real quick to talk to you about just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Ouch.
And,
Mm-hmm.
obviously
Mm-hmm.
I think your last like full release, Room 412, I think one of the best tracks on that was Dark Dandy. I love that track. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to pull some lyrics from this because I just wanted to see where it
Mm-hmm.
comes from. But so you wrote, I still hear you calling, calling, he's chasing me again, and he'll chase me till the end. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Especially now knowing that you've been in a relationship for all this time. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, is that, are you talking about referencing a person, or is this maybe like a metaphor potentially?
It's actually both. It is both a person and it's kind of, it could be a metaphor. When I write lyrics, I really dive deep into another. I'm not here. I'm somewhere else. So it's a part of dreams that I've had. It's partially reality. It's part of my past,
Mm,
and it's part of my past. It's relating to a past story. And it's also dreams. The thing is that I have dreams sometimes. I mean, many of us do have dreams that then happen. You know, you dream about something and then actually it ends up happening. I have dreams from like 20 years ago that are now happening. And
Hmm.
I still remember those dreams because I knew that there was something very special about them.
Yeah, and
So,
the premonitions that you have, I think that's the word that you would use for that.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you,
Yeah.
you mentioned the day job thing, so I mean, but that sounds right up your
Mm.
alley from
Hmm.
what I've learned about you in this short time. So,
I do. I do work with as a psychic since professionally since many, many years, and my clients are mainly in Sweden and in Norway. So
oh,
over the
okay.
phone and through emails and video, and sometimes I go there and I meet them face to face. I have a lot of
Yeah.
regulars. So yeah, yeah.
Wow, okay. Well, you'll have to give me a reading, I think is what they call that.
I can do that. Yes.
And I want to talk about, you've mentioned it twice already now. I don't want to forget to mention Hazy
Hmm.
Paradise. That was such
Hmm.
a that was such a, so that was almost five, no, yeah, 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's 5 years ago.
Um, feels like I loved Strangers in Movies and Knight in Armor, Shining Armor. No, don't, Rue, stop. Sorry. Yes,
I
messing with
love
the
it.
choir. Love those albums. But Hazy Paradise definitely felt like that kind of breakout release. You finally got
Hmm.
more of the street, synthwave street cred that you deserved.
Hmm.
So can you kind of just for a second take us back? Roof, stop. Can you take us back to that moment? And yeah, maybe just kind of sum up just generally how you've evolved from, then
Hmm.
to now here we are in 2025, getting ready for a new album coming up.
Hmm. Hazy Paradise was really, it was during COVID times. So there was the confinement, and so we didn't get to, I didn't get to go out much. And my friends were like worried. They were like, how are you going to cope with that? You're a person who likes to be out. I mean, not, you know, I'm not clubbing or something. We just like to go out to cafes or restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
And but then we had to stay a lot at home. And but that was actually a good thing because I created my own little hazy paradise in my studio with neon lights, candles, lit candles. It was just like the ambience. Like there was something that happened during that time. In the mornings, because there were barely any cars outside the windows. We could hear I could hear the birds sing. It was a special vibe. And I was in my own world very much. I wasn't it wasn't like emotionally like a challenging state or feeling like it was on Room 412, for example. But it was more like, I don't know, it was just, I managed to express all those emotions and both happy ones and then the more sad ones as well. And it was just, I don't know what happened, but it just happened. And I still remember and I still miss the time when I was recording Hazy Paradise because there's just, it was me and the studio and the lights and the mood. And then the upcoming album, um, it will be called The Touch. And The Touch is quite romantic, um, soft.
Certainly sounds like it.
Yes. Yeah, one of the lyrics, a part of the lyrics in The Touch is we're falling in love again with the touch. It's yeah, it's quite, but it's not. The touch is not cheesy, but I do have some cheesy tracks. I would say cheesy vocals, kind of like lyric wise on the album, but cheesy, good cheesy, like
Hmm.
with full of emotion, and I mean every word I say. And as long as cheesy can be good if you don't fall asleep. So if the listener doesn't fall asleep, that's
I mean, hey,
if it
synth
makes you
pop and cheesy go hand in hand, in my opinion.
right, right,
It's just a
exactly.
part
Thank
of it,
you.
but it's a good kind of cheesy, in
Yeah,
my opinion. It's the right kind of
yeah,
cheesy.
yeah, yeah. But it's the touch is still emotional. It is emotional, but it's also very soft and very romantic, and it's very much about the art of letting go. But it's there's still this push and pull thing there as a theme, kind of like. But yeah, I'm looking at the list of the tracks that I that I have on this album, on the upcoming album. It's about goodbyes, but it's also about I don't know. It's about everything.
Is that a metaphor for humans, falling back in love with each other and like reconnecting away from technology or AI or something? Or is that just too, am I thinking too deep on that?
No, you're not. I don't know. I had this image uh, of two people underwater, swimming deep in deep waters. That could be a metaphor. And we're
Mhm.
falling in love again with a touch. Maybe again is like talking about past lives. Could be deep as, deep as past lives.
Okay.
Voila.
So when do we? I love a great little bow you put
Yeah.
on there on that promo. So when do we? When are we gonna get
Uh,
to feel the touch, if you will?
Yeah, you will get to feel the touch in November. So the
Okay.
album will be out in November. I'm not exactly sure of the date. I think I know that it's in November, unless something happens and we need to push the release. But it should be out in November.
Mhm.
Prior to that, though, there will be a few singles coming out, and one of them is coming out very soon. Uh, it was supposed to be out in September. We are in September, so the reason why it's taking some time is because before we release the single, we need to have the artwork ready for the cover for the vinyl.
Mhm.
Because yeah, there's a reason to that. Uh, you will see why when there will be basically kind of like, okay, I can say it. There will be the first single will be the image will be a zoomed in part of the entire cover. Okay, so and then the second single will be another zoomed in image of the cover, and then when the album is released, then you will see the entire cover image, so to say. And therefore we are waiting for the designer to finish the artwork.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so it should be out. I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to be a September release for the first single. It must be October then. But the album is, we have I think it was 11 of, I'm not sure about the date, but I think around 11th of November, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So not terribly long from now, we'll get to hear some.
No, no,
Mhm.
no, no, it's not long from now. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I like the idea for the artwork too. That's actually a really cool idea. Never thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, speaking of cool ideas, I hate to pull us back from the present moment, but
No
uh,
problem.
similar to a lot of retro wave music, I want to just go
Hmm.
back for a sec. I don't want to skip over
Yeah.
your two most recent releases. So we kind
Hmm.
of touched on Room 412,
Hmm.
which, as you said, was such a peak of emotions
Mm.
and everything. I'm just wondering, real quick, what is that reference to? Room 412.
The room 412 starts with an emergency room with somebody coding, and you hear the tee 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 the sound, and then somebody dying basically. So the thought behind room 412 is that could you possibly like go back if let's say that somebody dies, and then if you really love somebody that's so much, like could it be that you love somebody so much that you could actually go to the gate, so to say, and bring them back? Is it possible? And could love do that? Is it possible? It's rebelling against, you know, those rules, or like the limitations of being human. And so it's about going back to the gates and bringing them back to you, basically. I just wanted to rebel against what was given to us, or is it so simple? Couldn't we just go touch those corners and just, rebel and just, be free and bring them back, basically, which I'm doing then in this. So it starts with this person coding, and then it enters into this very, very intense love story.
A love
One of
story
them.
and rebelling against the human condition, it sounds like. It
Mhm.
feels like you're kind of coming into your peak as a songwriter and a singer and a vocalist. Does it feel that way to you? And why do you if so, why do you feel like now is where you're kind of coming into your own?
Well, thank you, by the way. That was really nice. So I would say that I'm very much in tune with my emotions. It is definitely helping me in the creative process. So it's a factor. It's between me being more of a perfectionist, me being more involved. That doesn't mean that I have an amazing team. Without them, I wouldn't be able to pull it off. Not at all. So I have an amazing team of musicians and producers. They're just amazing. So and then but me being part of the because I know what I felt when I was recording the track. And that sphere, it's important that it's added in the mixing process and in the mastering process. There's sometimes some things and variations, some things that you want and really, okay, let's put this more in front, let's put this more in the back. Let's another thing that is super important, I think, is the timing of the vocals.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of like it's sometimes otherwise the feeling is that you would walk like next to somebody that is like running and walking, running and walking, running and walking. Then you're trying to have a discussion with this person, you're trying to talk. Let's say that you're having a walk, nice little stroll or whatever. And this person is walking really fast or walking very slow. And there's like, and then you're like, hey, there's no, like sometimes you just lose the connection. And this is the feeling I have when I'm recording vocals and then in the mixing process when the vocals are placed in time. So it really bothers me. So sometimes so I'm very picky with that. I'm very much in tune, very honest with myself. Do I feel it? No. Well, don't do
We're
it.
kind of at the end here. I want to just talk to you
Yeah.
about the future for Yota and
Mhm.
Yota. I'm going to make sure I hit that T hard. But I want to ask you, I was kind of surprised, and maybe I'm just not looking in the right place. I'm always on
Mhm.
YouTube, but I couldn't find any performances of you live, and I don't know if
Mhm.
that's because you don't perform live as Yota or what, but do you perform
Mhm.
live, or if not, do you have interest in doing that in the future?
I only perform live very few times because I'm very shy. And
Sure.
I've had yeah, that's the main reason. I it's possible that I will perform in the beginning of next year in France. But if this is gonna happen, I'm gonna post obviously more about that. I think in the beginning of next year, maybe it will happen.
Okay.
But it's I'm very shy. I never said that, but this is the case. I mean, I'm not shy like this, but I'm just shy in that context.
Okay.
So
I was gonna say I wouldn't have guessed given how open you've been in this interview. But
I can be very shy. I know I have, people get to know me and then sometimes I can become very shy. Yeah,
well, especially when singing and performing in front of people, that can be very
it's so
vulnerable.
personal. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so personal.
yeah.
It's
I
such
definitely
a
feel that.
personal experience, so that's why.
Yeah. No,
I
I definitely feel you there.
Yeah,
So for the listeners, again, don't forget the touch coming out sometime. It sounds like early or mid-ish November.
yeah,
Is this also going to be new retro wave
yes,
record? Okay.
yes,
So
yeah.
NRW Records, check them out. Don't forget that. And where can the Synth World listeners go if they want to get more, advice from Yota?
Advice from Yota. Well, obviously, to listen to the music, yeah, I'm all there on all platforms, more or less. But then my Instagram or my Facebook, and then obviously you can find my songs on YouTube as well. On the new Retrowave channel, then basically, and then I have a Patreon, so you can
Oh,
just
nice.
type Yota, and you will find my Instagram and my Facebook. But I'm mostly on Instagram. Uh, that's it. So that's where you can find me. Yeah.
Thank you again for your time. It was just so great to have you. That was France-based synth pop legend Yota, Yota, here on SynthWorld. I'm your host, DJ Nomad, and till next time, stay
Till
retro.
next time. Take care.